Welcome everybody to the final webinar of our Marketing Our Cooperative Advantage symposium. And so our panel today, I'm just going to give a brief review and let them introduce themselves, but we have Nora Edge, who's the General Manager of Capital Homecare Cooperative, a worker co-op based in Olympia, Washington. Also Rebecca from the Scorcher Bakery Co-op, worker co-op in Astoria, Oregon. Jonah, and I forgot to write down all the last names here, I'm sorry. Jonah from one of our newest co-ops in Olympia, Orca Books Co-op, a solidarity co-op in Olympia, Washington. And then Annie Hoy, who is with the Ashland Food Co-op and general co-op artist in Ashland, Oregon. So we're going to start out with presentations from each, and then I have a few general questions, and then we'll open it up to everybody else to ask their questions and maybe have a general discussion about how we market the Co-op Advantage, especially in these somewhat difficult times. When we first imagined this conference, it was in July of 2019, and when we started the initial planning, it was in October of 2019. Since then, we've had fires rage through Australia, a global pandemic, fires raging through the Pacific Northwest, and a renewed and strong social justice movement in the United States. So obviously, a lot of the things we were planning about marketing and how we market our co-ops has changed since that time, and I know we'll be talking a lot about that as we go through that. So I'm going to turn it over to Nora Edge now, and take it away, Nora.
I guess I would always put the addendum, it's talking about our startup marketing. It's going to be a little different than what we've had to do post-COVID, but I'll just kind of talk as if COVID doesn't exist for a little while, which might be really relaxing for everybody, hopefully. So for Capital Homecare, I'm the director of Capital Homecare Cooperative. We are an in-home care agency serving Thurston County out of Olympia, Washington. So we're a caregiver owned and operated. So a big part of marketing for us at the beginning was building our client base and figuring out how to recruit caregivers. I can definitely talk about the beginnings were pretty difficult. You know, I think everybody will say you got to spend money to make money with marketing at the beginning, but figuring out how to make it the least expensive thing possible is really important when you're in startups. So that was a really big focus. You know, I was able to get on local radio shows for free, or we would table in front of our local co-ops, you know, and really access other co-op community members. And we would host community meetings where we would it would be, you know, a free event where we try to make it fun and tell people about us. So there was a lot of kind of in-person guerrilla marketing, like really figuring out how can we build our brand and reputation with the least money possible. And so we tried a few different angles. Obviously focusing on our website and making our website as functional and make sure it represents us as well as possible was huge, because that's the first door to clients. You know, that's the first door clients go through a lot of the time to find us. So you know, there's like a lot of approaches when you really think about marketing. There's press, there's, you know, radio and print news. Like we had an article go out saying like, oh, there's a new co-op in town. And then also thinking about our industry specifically, you know, where do our clients come from? Who do we need to target, and who do we need to develop our relationships with in-home care? For instance, a really obvious one is you need to develop relationships with your social workers or people in skilled nursing facilities or hospitals, because they're going to give you your gold star references. So in a nutshell, I would say the beginnings of our marketing was really figuring out who we are, our brand, what do we want to tell people about us, and what do we want to make sure is consistently always known. I hope that's not too all over the place. That's kind of how we got started. Yeah, and I would say the biggest pitfalls that we ran into was really just getting, especially as new business owners who don't really have a sense of what's fiscally normative or how much you would usually spend on this or that. I think it's really easy to fall into traps. Like we tried to, a big thing that we did was we were really pushed to do print ads, but it's not like you can take out a print ad anymore. What you'll actually find is that marketing agencies have purchased most local publications. So if you want a print ad, you actually need to do a very specific contract with an agency, and they'll usually try to charge you like $500 a month to air your ad for 2 days, out of every month or something like that. Or, but a big benefit of joining a marketing agency is that they'll manage your virtual image. And so it's just a lot of self-education and figuring out, what's your industry, what's your price point, what can you do, and what do you want the outcome to be. All right. I think that's what I can offer on that.
Okay, that's fine. Well, let's jump over to, sorry, I have to get my list here, to Rebecca from Blue Scorcher.
Hey there, hi. So I have a presentation, and I guess okay, so here is a picture of the Blue Scorcher Bakery. We're a bakery that is a worker-owned cooperative, and we're based in Astoria, Oregon, so right on the coast. We started in 2004 just as like a market booth that was just doing bread. And then in 2006, we established a space. So we started to do bread, pastry, coffee, and food. So this is our kitchen, some of our kitchen workers, coffee, of course, pastries, and this is one of our bread bakers. We usually hold department meetings, and we base that on consent instead of consensus. We used to hold our meetings in person, of course, but we've had to adapt since then. This is some of our members. And often we have meetings with the whole group, making business decisions, and we have try to be as transparent as possible. And this is one of our community dinners. So we're very, very much used to have a space where customers would come and we would sit side by side. It was very close quarters, so we had to make some big changes. This is the marketing that we have been doing recently. Mostly it's social media, Instagram, Facebook. We have tried the newspaper, but it is expensive, and really in the end it was word of mouth that gets our message around to people. So after COVID, we had to shut down. This is our dining area. We had to put everything away. And then we tried doing walk-up orders at the door for a short while. This is right before we were talking about wearing masks. This is kind of just in the beginning. So all other departments within the bakery essentially shut down, but the bread department continued because they could deliver their bread to the grocery stores. So we were really lucky because that was considered essential work. And so it kind of kept us afloat. This is our announcement right after we kind of shut down. We just posted this like on our door and, social media. And we posted information after a little while where we got online. We have a website, but we weren't very on top of it until COVID happened, and then we set up an online ordering system shortly after that. So because we couldn't do meetings in person anymore, we moved to Zoom and Lumio, This is just a screenshot of the page of Lumio. It's like really helpful for making decisions. You can do polls and come to agreements on here. These are some of our workers using masks. And so then in July, we sort of did a pivot. And since everybody was masked up, we set up plexiglass around the front counter. We're just doing takeout only. And all the departments are up and running. And then in regards to BLM, we did a pop-up bake sale that was only advertised 24 hours in advance on Instagram, and it sold out. So it got a lot of attention in the community. And as far as the fires go, since we were lucky enough to be on the coast, we just continued our service during that time, and we saw a spike of people actually coming through the area, partly to get away from the smoke. So some of the challenges we faced are staying connected while not being able to meet in person. We're a group that gets along fairly well, but communicating over Zoom and on text messages, it's really easy to take things the wrong way, and some people have gotten to arguments a little bit during this time. And also we lost a good portion of our staff after the initial shutdown. And we had some positive aspects about it. We were able to get an SBA grant, PPP loan that we're going through right now. And interesting enough, the workers that stayed with us, more of them are wanting to become owners right now and be more invested in the business. I think maybe that sense of security of being a part of the business for longer. So we have just some future challenges to look at, how we're going to serve customers in this winter. And we've lost that aspect of our business, which was having the community gather in our dining area. We just don't have that anymore. I'm not sure how we can keep that, at least for this year, like how we can foster that. So that is it. And let's see, to stop share.
Okay. Thank you, Rebecca. And yeah, let's switch over to Jonah from Orca Books.
Hello. Hi, I'm Jonah Barrett. I was previously a marketing director over at the Olympia Film Society for 2 years, and then I switched over to here during the pandemic, actually. And I do some of the marketing. And I'm going to look at my lap a lot because that's where my notes are. So sorry about that. But yeah, so I'm from Orca Books Co-op. We're a new baby co-op that started, it was a small business bookstore that was turned into a co-op very recently in April. Before that, we were Orca Books Incorporated, and we had been here since 1993. And during this co-op transition was actually also a physical transition as we changed where our store was. So it's kind of been two big changes at the same time. So it's been a lot. But we've been doing curbside pickup so far, and that's been really good. And we are working really hard to open on October 1st to the public. So we're pretty jazzed about that. In terms of our messaging, the main message we're pushing is that we're a community bookstore. So we have something for everyone. There's, snazzy new titles that come in. There's affordable used books, and there are super duper rare books if that's your cup of tea. We have events where Olympians can learn from and engage with the local literary culture. We used to do it, at the old place, real in-person events, and now we're here on Zoom and digital landscapes. The bookstore itself is a collaboration between all the staff and the community members who volunteered. So we all kind of chip in with our own projects that contribute to this overall great little bookstore. We have all the advantages of a local business because we used to be a local business. I guess we still are technically. But we have the ability to, you know, bond with our customers and give really personalized book recommendations. We still give them access to OLI events where they can gather digitally today. And people can feel really good about supporting their local economy. But as a co-op, we can go further than that. The bookstore is run by a team of people, the staff, and not one business owner. And customers have the option of being part of our Orca community with lifelong memberships where they have a say in what happens to our store. Our customers range from all walks of life, old and young alike. I've been really amazed at how kind all the customers are. In previous jobs, I haven't had customers that are so nice and understanding, especially when, you know, there's new staff like me that's like, I don't know entirely how to use this, you know, computer program that we use for book inventory. And they're like, oh, it's fine, I got it. And I think, you know, there's a lot of love coming at us because they remember Orca Books Inc., the store that they fell in love with, and they want to see the legacy of that old store be alive in this new thriving co-op. And, you know, there's also, we live in this really fast-paced digital age, and I think people crave that stillness that bookstores can offer. For marketing, we use a ton of different avenues for marketing. Some are standard practices and some are more out there. I would say the main everyday tool we use would be Instagram. We do a mixture of stories and posts, and I have a writing background, and I try to use my writing background. I can write, but I can't talk. I try to use my writing background to convey a voice of a regular person, so they recognize that there's someone real behind, you know, the phone, and not, you know, some kind of fake voice, I guess. When you like read like if you read Amazon Prime's Twitter, for example, like you can tell it's not really a person. Well, it's a person, but you know. Anywho, I also joke as a marketing coordinator that the majority of my posts are shit posts. But I think there's some truth in that because humor actually goes a really long way. People really respond to it, and it's a great way to get your message out. So I love, you know, making jokes on social media with customers, and they can play along, and it's a great way to engage with them. I also like to get feedback from our followers. So I'll do like a poll on Instagram about their favorite genres, maybe a survey on an email blast on what they want to see in the new store. I just like asking what they think about a bunch of stuff, and it makes them feel heard. They know that we're listening to them. I think it's good. It's a good way to talk to your people. So we market through Instagram, Facebook, our newsletter. We're gonna dip our toes into Reddit pretty soon. Wish us luck. We're doing posters, Twitter, events and collabs and cross promotions with other organizations around here, staff pics, pictures of our bookstore cat, local papers, and our website. And that is my little nervous presentation. Thank you.
And thank you, Jonah. Thank you very much. And so, yeah, so let's go to Annie in Ashland and hear about the exciting world of marketing there.
All right, well, I'm going to see if I can carry out what I practiced many times. All right, it worked. Okay, well, I'm Annie Hoy, and I am the retired marketing manager at Ashland Food Co-op. I worked there for 25 years, and I have lurked all of y'all's other co-ops, Orca, Scorcher, and Capital Homecare. Because what my passion is now as a board member at Ashland Food Co-op, I'm the board secretary now, is starting new co-ops in every co-op sector and making sure that the Rogue Valley of Oregon is a mecca for cooperative enterprise. So my co-op, Ashland Food Co-op, is, we're old. We were founded in 1972 by a group of families in Ashland who wanted to get good food for their families, but they couldn't just go to the local Safeway and get brown rice, for example, or rolled oats not in a package. So they started a buying club. It's a typical story for food co-ops all over the country. Started a little buying club, bought in bulk from Mountain Peoples, which was our main distributor back then, and divvied it up in somebody's garage. And out of that came our first little store. And then now we have a big shiny store. And we have we were true co-op in the beginning, but in the 80s, when they rewrote the bylaws, they changed it to a mutual benefit corporation. But then later on, we converted back to be a true co-op. We rely on the co-op principles and values to guide all of our marketing. I used a lot of guerrilla marketing in the beginning because they hadn't really had a marketing position there 25 years ago. So I really made it up as I went along, and I find that to be the fun way to do it. And you meet more people and you learn more things when you do it that way. So Orca, you're doing everything right. You're doing all the fun things that make your marketing exciting.
Oh, good.
I'm glad to hear people using the term guerrilla marketing, because I can remember going to a food co-op conference and someone from Davis, California was talking about their guerrilla marketing. It was like, light bulb went off. It's like, wow, you know, I don't have to be this super strong professional. I can just do my thing. And because what we're all trying to do is engage people and get them to be members and get them to use us and to participate in the community that we create as co-ops. That's what's different about us. And I think we should have fun making sure that we are getting the message out about our co-ops. So those principles and values, especially education and information for Ashland Food Co-op, of course, a lot of that education was about food. Information about health, wellness, farming, gardening, all of those things. And concern for community is a big one for us. We have a community grant program. We give away a lot of money, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Honesty. Yeah, we tell the truth. Openness. Everybody's welcome. Social responsibility. We have a robust sustainability program trying to get to zero waste. We're in the process now of trying to be able to replace as much as we can of our electric needs with solar power in case the grid goes down, so that we'll still be able to stay open. In California, we saw our fellow food co-ops suffer when the power grid went out. So we wanted to avoid that. Caring for others. We care for our employees. We care for our community. So caring for our community has been a big deal for us right now because of the fires in the Rogue Valley. So on top of COVID, on September 8th, a fire started just at the edge of Ashland. And the wind was blowing in such a way that it basically took everything out in its path going north toward the town of Medford. It went through two little towns, Talent and Phoenix. Those two little towns serve as our workforce affordable housing and migrant housing as well. And senior housing, senior affordable housing. Everything was burned to the ground. There's a New York Times video that shows the devastation. We're still coming out of it. We still are trying to figure out how we're going to deal with the rebuilding of these communities. So here's our homepage, and you can see here that, of course, principle number 7, concern for community, is really a big deal for us. So it takes you to our enterprise site, where we launched this online shopping because of COVID, and nobody wanted to come in this store, so we had to get this platform together. And now we're also using it for anyone to give a donation to our relief for the Rogue Valley. And we're trying to raise funds to rebuild these communities. And so far we've raised more than $25,000, which I think is amazing. So we've been able to use something that we created during the pandemic to also help us do something else. Okay, and now I want to get out of this because now I can't remember how I'm going to get back to my Also, so the COVID thing we were on the edge of doing online ordering, and we talked about it, ached over it, but when COVID hit, it became the thing that really helped people more than anything, because they didn't want to come to the store because they were afraid. We didn't want them to just rely on Instacart, which all the other stores were doing. We wanted them to be able to shop co-op. So we really put it together fast, and it's working out really well, and we're really happy with that. We also started curbside pickup to respond to COVID. And again, I am amazed at how quickly we pulled everything together to do that. And we market primarily on social media now. And now, how did we respond to social justice? I'm going to do another little screen share here. Thanks for your resume share here. We'll do that. We'll do that. Okay. So in terms of racial justice, the things that are happening for us right now, that for some reason I can't get back to my regular old website. So I'm going to stop that and just go back to the old-fashioned way. Racial justice activities became a big deal for us in the last 2 months. We wanted to do something that would make a statement in our community. So we decided to make a sizable contribution to a local nonprofit that dealt with racial justice. And we got a lot of incredible blowback for that, which scared us a little because we didn't expect that. We thought everyone was cooperatively minded who shopped at our store, and we found out that we have a very diverse clientele, and that if they don't agree with something, they don't really want us to do it. But we really felt like it was the right thing to do, and the right thing to continue to support our local community of color, our local community of handicap, our local community in general. And with the fire, it has become so clear that a lot of people are invisible in our community. And that's part of social justice, is seeing everybody and seeing them, recognizing that they exist and that they are a part of our community, not just a stereotype. So it turned out then that we were having a little internal conversations in our prepared foods department about how racism didn't exist and everybody was free, and it was making some people feel very uncomfortable, and there were some complaints made. And it really sparked something inside our community that was very uncomfortable, but that we had to deal with. And I'm so glad that it happened, because we are addressing things now in ways that we would have never addressed them before. And we're making progress, and we're putting statements out to our community and marketing ourselves in that way to let everyone know that we are telling the truth about our situation. We are being honest, and we are dealing with it, and we are trying to change. And again, the blowback has been, not everybody's on the same page. They don't want to wear masks in the store, and they don't want you to participate in a social movement. But that is what the co-op movement is about. The first cooperators were abolitionists, 201. So this confluence of, for us, of Black Lives Matter, a pandemic disease, and a big fire disaster that puts the spotlight on the inequities in our community has been an incredible learning experience for all of us, and a way that we can pull our communities together through our co-op and move forward. And I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you, Annie. That was very inspirational. And I'm trying to get the there we go. I'm trying to get our panel back, and so we have everyone. And yeah, I think you brought up some great points. And actually, listening to the different presentations, I was really struck by how much of your actual marketing is person to person, and really steeped in the community, not as much as in the more traditional forms of marketing. And so if Nora's still with us, I don't know if she is.
I am.
Oh, hi, Nora.
Nora's right there.
I'm just wondering, Nora, if you would want to talk a little bit also about some of the ways that maybe COVID's affected you, or the home care co-ops, but also some of the things that you're doing now with other home care co-ops to try to create that broader community within the home care community itself.
Absolutely. So talk about how we were dealing with marketing post-COVID and what we went through. So yeah, I mean, kind of from the home care standpoint, we were kind of in the thick of it from the beginning. It was like this bomb hit, and we lost, I think, 70% or a little more of our business in a week and a half. A combination of people no longer feeling safe, having people come in and out of their homes, or reducing their care to essential care. We were providing a lot of companionship in facilities. And basically, as I kind of said, all of our marketing was based on me trying to be sneaky and do stuff for free, which is a lot easier if you have access to humans. But if it's not only not wanted to have a solicitor come into your place of business because they're annoying, but also because they could be bringing a deadly disease, we really had to rethink everything we were doing. So with regard to our marketing, we really started refocusing our lens, considering going in a virtual approach a little bit more. I feel confident speaking for most caregivers and saying that not many of us got into these jobs because we love technology. So it was a pretty steep learning curve. But we focused on rebranding. We're currently about to launch our new website in tandem with our new Google marketing initiative. We also started focusing on video and social media posting as a way to garner attention. So we put out some videos showing, we're like, yes, I don't totally know where I got cut off, so I'm just going to kind of informally continue rambling at you guys, I guess. But so post-COVID, we were really presented with a huge challenge, which was trying to build up our client base so that we could get solving, trying to figure out how to support our workers, which is still a conversation that we're having, because caregiving in the time of COVID is much more dangerous for obvious reasons. And so, yeah, it was But with marketing, what we've really learned is we needed to continue to cultivate like our small hometown, better quality care, better treated workers reputation, but do that virtually. So we've been working with like a local media agency to produce these videos that we post on social media and send out through email. And our messaging has really been, you know, we're the safest option. You know, home care is the safest option to receive care. Congregate facilities are out. They're the reason this is such a problem in the first place. So that's been a huge focus for us. Yeah, and so it's really, it's just been a learning curve, learning how to think about things virtually instead of person to person. It's a whole other ballgame. I was thinking I could try to show you guys one of the videos. I don't know if that would be interesting or if that would be overkill.
I'd be up for it.
All right. I think Kippy's on here too, so I'll just throw that out there. This is actually another really cool thing, is that part of our COVID response is we've got a few home care co-ops in Washington. So we really started communicating with each other and like sharing our processes, but we've also started doing some group marketing together, and that's been a really great way to expand our message without it being an insane cost. Because obviously, depending on who you're working with, your videos can be pretty expensive.
This co-op concept is as old as the human species. Imagine a group of people walking across the scorching plain, hunting and gathering. One of them falls. The whole group stops to help this person. It's instinctive. The strength of the whole requires cooperation. Or as Benjamin Franklin put it, we must hang together, or we will surely hang separately.
Excuse me, I gotta look at that airplane.
Yeah, that's all right.
I don't know where he went. I've been diagnosed with pre-dementia, and so sometimes I forget things, and I just need some assistance. And it seems like Vanessa and you and the other people all really help out and really make it so that I have a good existence here at home.
Circle of Life is it's all about love and caring about each other and supporting our caregivers so that we can serve our clients so much better than we would have been able to otherwise.
We want to take care of our clients in the best way possible, and that means having happy caregivers who really enjoy their jobs. Everybody's involved and everybody's cooperative together.
We're really proud to be part of a cooperative, part of a living, breathing movement of cooperatives worldwide that are providing an economic option that's equitable.
We are unified in our common objective of bringing a caring and life-affirming environment to our clients.
Jonah is also going to mention to you, I know that, of course, for a lot of people don't realize Orca also moved during the pandemic. So they not only converted, but they moved. And the previous store was located right next to the city hall and police headquarters during the protests in late May and early June. And I know that, maybe if you want to talk a little bit about Orca's experience with that.
Yeah. We were right next to City Hall. And, you know, a big issue, I think this was in June, was, you know, property damage, and it was a whole kerfuffle. And we had, I think it was a brick smashed through our window of our old space. And I made a post. I took a photo of the smashed window, or the boarded up window, I should say. And it basically was just like, you know, yes, it sucks that our window was smashed, but we believe in the cause of these protests more so than, it matters more to us, the protests matter more than just a window. Like, a window can be fixed and undone, and a police shooting cannot be. And for the most part, the public really liked that. They really responded really well. They were like, thank you for standing up. That's amazing. You guys are great. And we were like, yeah, we're just, I don't know, doing what we think is right. And one thing is we had, but then a couple weeks later, maybe a week later, we had armed militias come, and we made another post about how we don't like armed militias in Olympia. And then we got attacked by all these alt-right trolls that were like, I'm never shopping at your chaos store again. You just lost a valuable customer. And you'd like search, but then you'd go and search the person who like commented that, and they would live in like Miami, Florida or something. But yeah, so we, in response to the protests, we also wrote Black Lives Matter really big on our front window. It's still up there. It's going to stay up there. And we did a sale where we told everyone we're going to donate 25% of all the proceeds to a BLM organization, which we're going to announce soon. Things take time sometimes. But so that's what we did in response to having our window smashed.
Our office is right down the street from Orca Books, and I believe I was one of the people that was like, yay, I love your sign. So I really appreciate that.
I'm going to jump over to Rachel. Just, you know, any reflections on some of the other presentations? Also, you know, one thing I've always wondered is, you know, how, like, I know Olympia has become a really hotbed of cooperation, and Ashland also has a really strong co-op history. And Astoria does. I mean, they one of the first worker co-ops in the region goes back to the 1890s with Fisherman Co-op. But what do you think the co-op landscape is in Astoria, and how does that help you, or is it maybe not strong enough as you'd like it? And
I think we're really lucky. We have a very supportive community in Astoria. It's a small town, but we've always had a core group of customers who come in and support us. And there's also a grocery store that is the Astoria Co-op grocery store that just expanded, and they have a lot of support. However, Astoria is just like the rest of Oregon, where, you know, it's easy to feel like there is a bubble where everybody is really open-minded and is on the same page. But just, you know, interspersed with Astoria and just on the outskirts very much is a red area, you know, like very much Trump supporters, people driving through town with an elk head on the top of their truck. And, you know, and I grew up here, and it's so interesting to see these things coming out and learning about the people that you live with, because you don't really realize, you know, when all these stressors have hit us, how people are going to react and actually where they stand on things. It's really kind of surprising and shocking. Some people I thought, you know, were way more open-minded or are not, and vice versa. So it's, but one thing about like growing up in a small town like this is, I feel like everybody sort of tries to hold themselves in a little bit more, because you will, like, you do have to, you know, you do maybe have to have somebody who's going to be your plumber who doesn't agree with maybe you politically. And everybody sort of has to get along. And I hope that continues, that people can at least listen to each other and see each other as people first before they get too upset. But yeah, it's kind of shocking, really, to hear where people are when this kind of thing is hitting us. And like Annie said, I think it's actually a really great thing. It's because we wouldn't have had this kind of discussion come up and hit us unless everything happened like it has happened. So
it's always a good opportunity when something comes at you like that, because the more you talk about things, the more everyone understands each other. And then, you know, who can be against concern for community?
Right, exactly. And I should also, you know, acknowledge the relative, the actual lack of diversity of our panel. And, you know, the program itself, this is funded by the Rural Cooperative Development Grant. We were looking at the communities of Astoria, Ashland, and Olympia to have in-person session. And so we wanted to honor that and to make sure we hit those communities. And of course, the coast is also, you know, very much a white space, and co-ops are a white space within that white space. And so this is where we are. It's definitely an area that the cooperative community also needs to work on a lot. And I think in many ways, the renewed struggles and protests from George Floyd's murder have really caused all of us to be rethinking our co-ops and how we make them more representative of the community as a whole. So it's definitely something that's always out there. I want to open up to the panel to ask any questions of each other that you might have, and then we'll open it up to the general community if they want to ask any questions. Everyone's quiet.
I just want to know that I can call Nora, Rachel, and Jonah and talk to you about each of your co-ops and how we can bring that model down here to Ashland, because John knows we had a bookstore that was thinking of converting to a co-op. We have great need for caregiving co-op. And we also had, John and I were working with someone who was wanting to convert his cafe into a worker-owned space. So y'all are gonna get calls from me, emails at least,
Cool.
to share your expertise, because it's time for those projects to take off.
Right. And I see Adam in the chat does mention that, you know, part of the co-op principles does talk about, you know, neutrality in areas of religion and politics. But does anyone in the participants want to open up and ask just a general question or make a comment and join the conversation?
I have a question for Jonah. This is Kippy.
Hello.
Hi,
Sure,
Jonah.
I'm going to go with you, Kippy, and then we'll go to Adam.
Okay. You know, I think I have a pretty good business Facebook page, but you mentioned Instagram, and this is a big general question. I can probably Google it, but is there a way to get Instagram followers? How do you get Instagram followers?
You'll have to get them naturally, organically, is what they say.
Okay.
But I think I did this once with a different business page, but Facebook will, like, since it owns Instagram, it will walk you through creating an Instagram page, Instagram account for your business. And then from there, you know, one thing that we're really fortunate to have is we have all our Instagram followers from back when we were just a local business down on Fifth Avenue. So we cheated a little bit. But I would say, you know, use like 2 or 3 hashtags, find your local hashtags that, you know, local businesses are using around you. And I've also encountered some, some positive feedback and followers from paid advertising. I wouldn't go overboard with it, but if you do a promotional post just to, like, get the word out, that can help. And you can you do a lot of different things. You can, like, try to pinpoint where in the region you want to like your ad to be seen, and the age range, and it's great. I love it. Another thing though is just being honest on your platform, and people will pick that up and they'll like it, and then more people just kind of come in because they organically see that you're genuine, and they will respond to that.
Okay, that's good. And just one quick question. When you post something on Facebook, does it automatically post to Instagram?
No, it's actually the other way around, and you have the option of doing that. So when you post to Instagram, you have the option to share it on your Facebook page, but you don't have to. And one annoying thing I will say about that is that if you're like, tagging another business or something with their @ or if you're using a hashtag, that will transfer over to Facebook, but it won't link up the tag. So you have to go back in Facebook and then edit that same post. But I will do that if I'm in a hurry. I'll share to Facebook. So there's the long answer to your question.
Okay.
Also, I think Facebook, if you go in the publishing tools now, they've added where you can dual post to Instagram.
What?
Yeah, you can just set it up where anything you post to Facebook will get posted to Instagram, but you have to watch it because you'll get double charged if you're boosting. So like if you boost a Facebook post and you also share it to Instagram, you'll get like double the fee. So just be prepared for that.
Awful. Oh my gosh, what a wonderful learning opportunity this is.
That's what we like.
Thank you.
Adam Schwartz, jump on in with your comment or question. Or
Hi, John. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for your presentations. Always good to see how folks are talking about the best business model. Question regarding for Rachel around your bakery. If I were I've not been to Astoria, unfortunately. I'm on the East Coast. If I were to come by your store, would I know right away that it was a different kind of bakery? That are you doing anything in store to promote the fact that it's a worker-owned business? And how do you display it in the store?
Oh, that's a good question. Actually, that's something that we actually do need to work on ourselves. We promote that we're organic and local, but so far we haven't put up very much signage about the fact that we're worker-owned co-op. It's understood in the community because there's a lot of word of mouth, but actually that is something that we are working on getting out there.
Thanks. Because I also heard your comment about the guy with the elk, coming through town, and I come from a place where no matter what your political or religious beliefs might be, I think we all want to eat good food. We want to breathe clean air. And I lobbied for co-ops for many years, and I would lobby Republican offices. And I would just talk about how it's people doing for themselves what they want to do and without government interference. And that sounds like a pretty Republican ideal to folks. And when you lobby Democratic offices, I might talk more about the social responsibility. So I do think there's a place for everybody in all co-ops. But it's really heartwarming to see all the good work you folks are doing out west. So thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Adam. Anyone else in the audience want to jump in? I know. So I do like the idea of Capital Home Care and the other home care co-ops coming together. I think that's a really neat idea. It's a very kind of Mondragon idea. I'm wondering how many of you are kind of connecting with the other co-ops in your community. I know here in Olympia we've been struggling to create what we call co-sound. In Bellingham they've created the Cascade Cooperative group, and I think in Port Townsend it's the Olympic Cooperative Network. So what's happening, I guess, in Ashland and Astoria? Are the co-ops kind of working and talking to each other as a group? Whoever wants to go first.
Well, I'll just talk about rogue co-ops. So back during the International Year, we started an organization called Rogue Co-ops. It was made up of the 2 food co-ops a credit union, and the Grange Co-op, which is an agricultural farmers co-op. And during that year, we worked really closely to try to get the co-op word out. And we have kept meeting as an external relations committee for many years, trying to keep our alliance alive and to do things together and to mutually bring attention to the co-op model in our town, in our region. And we're still pretty robust. We haven't done anything together in a little while. Last year we had to start a co-op contest, and we actually have someone that is starting a new co-op as a result of that contest. So I think, I don't remember the question.
Or just how co-ops can work together to cross-market, even across sector, and
Well, yeah, it's
image in their communities.
I think just working together and making that very visible and promoting that you are working together, and having some co-promotions that you do. And it all begins with like regularly checking in with each other so that you can have something that you bring to your community that you do together that brings focus to the cooperative model. And that's what our Start a Co-op contest did, because what we did is we held these informational sessions in each of the communities that are served by the co-op. So we did one in Ashland, we did one in Medford, we did one in Central Point. So we covered our whole little valley with this opportunity to learn more about co-ops, and maybe they'd like to start their own. So we went through all the different kinds. Well, you can have a worker-owned bookstore, you can, or a hybrid worker-consumer. You can have a worker-owned cafe. You can have any kind of business that you want to start. You can start it as a co-op, and we had, like, I don't know, maybe 70 people over the course of 3 months that came out for these. So that's 70 more people in the greater Rogue Valley that know what the cooperative model is. And it was exciting to bring that information to people, and exciting to see people come and ask questions about it. So that, if you could work together in some way to bring attention to your business model in your community, I think you can spark more co-ops.
Rachel, what about Astoria? Sir.
Could you repeat the question again?
Yeah, just more, or like, I know that you've obviously Blue Scorcher sells the bread to the food co-op, but is there anything else that the food co-op and Blue Scorcher are doing to sort of build that image and presence within Astoria, or is there just too few co-ops to really get that?
Yeah, we're just the two of us are just the two main co-ops in Astoria, but we have a very tight relationship with each other. The general manager at the co-op groceries, he's been living here for maybe like 15 years now, and he said when he first moved to, no, less than 15, but when he first moved to Astoria to check it out, the bakery was one of the reasons that he wanted to stay. And so we often run over to the co-op and get supplies from them, and yeah, we definitely have collaborated during this time during the shutdown. We've increased our bread production, and we're definitely like supporting each other. Yeah.
I just want to say, years ago, one of the first conferences I went to, it was in Saskatchewan, and they had a speaker from rural British Columbia, and she was great. I forget her name, but she said in rural communities in BC, says there's not enough people to have things done for you. So if you want something done, we just form a co-op to do it. She goes, I'm a member of 22 co-ops. There's the street maintenance co-op, and there's this co-op. So it's definitely, the rural communities offer a very different way of thinking about cooperation. I guess.
Hey, can I just say one more thing?
Oh,
hey,
please.
I don't know whether y'all know about the Impact Conference that is usually held in Washington, D.C. that NCDA does. It's online this year, and it's not very expensive. And I encourage you to look at the schedule, and you can continue your co-op learning as well. It's a great opportunity and because you don't have to go to Washington, D.C., you don't have to stay in a hotel, all that stuff. You don't have to take that horrible subway thing. I don't know. I'm just a country girl. But there are some good workshops and sessions planned in that. And that's continuing education. I'm a big fan.
So if there are no other questions from our audience or from the panelists, I guess I would just ask if people have any last thoughts about marketing the co-op advantage and advice to the people out there, not just the folks here today, but the folks that will be seeing the video. We can go around a circle if you want. Start with Nora.
Well, I guess I would just like echo that last thing we were talking about. Probably the most exciting thing that came out of COVID was seeing the 4 home care co-ops in Washington start to really share. And like, I know you guys all know the first tenet of co-ops is to help other co-ops. It's like, we always helped each other a lot, but I think with marketing, it is so expensive that to be able to offer that support and also really tell people our story it's been huge, you know, and I think we're really excited to see where it goes.
I'm just going to follow my screen around. So Jonah, and then Annie, and then Rachel for the last one.
My closing comments. Annie, I'm really looking forward to your call or email. That's going to be cool. Rachel, I love Astoria with all my heart, and now I have another place to go visit when I can do that, when there's not a pandemic. Nora, if you're across the street, let's go get coffee. What do you think? That's my
I'm so down.
Okay, cool. We'll get coffee.
Oh my God, that's so cute. Wow. Well, thank you, John, for inviting me to this, and it's so nice to meet all of you and all of you who we can't see, and great to see you, Adam. I just think that co-ops are the way to do business. They're people-centric, they're community-centric. Everybody gets to participate. Everybody has a stake, and it's how we should all be as human beings. So, big fan of cooperation, and Adam is shaking his head because he's heard me say this stuff before with a few beers in me. So I can get really passionate about cooperation. And thank you again, John, for holding this seminar. Marketing, the best thing about marketing is telling your true story about your community to your community. That's that.
Rachel, any last words?
Yeah, no, I just really enjoyed this. I've learned so much, and yeah, I want to try out Jonah's idea of doing the funny or fun Instagram posts and pulling your customers, kind of like asking them questions and in those posts. That's a really cool way to engage.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun.
Yeah, so really enjoyable. Thanks for having me.
Great, and I just want to say, you know, the marketing has always been something I've really believed in with co-ops. I've been in co-ops for 26 years, most of my adult life, and most co-ops just don't seem to always, they seem to be focused inside and aren't always telling their story. But now, you know, in 2008, people saw the moment for co-ops, and things have really taken off. In the worker co-op world, we went from having about 350 co-ops to now it's estimated there are 800 worker co-ops in the United States in just really 12 years. We're at another point now in 2020. This is a year, you know, that makes 2008, which was a unique year in itself, seem like a small bump in the road. And it's really time, I think, for our co-ops to step up and say, there is an alternative. We don't have to keep doing what we've been doing. We already have this model in place. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We have a strong community and get our message out. And so to me, it's the marketing our co-op. That's the co-op difference and our advantage is really more important now than it's ever been. So,
a wise cooperator once said to me, wherever there's a problem, there's a co-op solution.
There you go. All right. Well, with that, I want to thank our guests, our panelists, Rachel, Annie, Jonah, and Nora. I want to thank all of our all the folks that showed up and participated, especially Adam and Kippy for jumping in and asking questions. And this